Hi, everyone. It's Maria Recruit here from All Things Niagara. And today we're going to be talking about dispute resolution. The question I have for you is when you have a dispute, do you actually go and find a mediator for it, or do you go to a lawyer? We're going to find out how less expensive it is to go through a mediator who is a law clerk that could help you. And we're going to be discussing with Marian Grande and also Dave Wheeler, who's my sidekick. But Marian Grande has been actually practicing in the Niagara region for, I think, 16 years as a dispute resolution law clerk. And she's going to explain to us exactly what that means. Welcome to my show. How are you today, Marian? How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me today.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So tell me a little bit about dispute resolution and why it's easier to go through you than it would be to go through a lawyer.
Sure. Yeah. So I have over 16 years of family law and civil litigation experience, and I'm the founder of Absolute Dispute Resolution. And the reason why mediation is so great is, first of all, it is up to 75% cheaper than retaining a lawyer. Mm-hmm. You have no court attendance. You have complete control over the decisions that are being made because it's the parties themselves that are making the decisions. It's less stressful, mm-hmm. and it's quicker. Going to court, getting to trial will take you at least 2 years. Now with the pandemic, even longer. I've heard of family law matters taking over 10 years and costing over $150,000. Oh. So it's a big savings, and savings financially and in time.
And emotionally.
Absolutely.
So what made you decide to go into this field? That's a tough field, family law.
I love family law because I love helping people. It's always been my passion. Right out of school, I've always wanted to work in family law, and now more so in mediation, because I see what people are spending and I see the cycle they get stuck in going to court. It's extremely stressful. People get sick over it. Mm-hmm. And quite honestly, that money could be better spent.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. You can put it towards your kids' education, a family trip, a retirement, but definitely there are better ways to spend your money.
I agree. And I think you'll agree with me, Dave, right? This is Dave Wheeler, my sidekick, my co-host. Yeah. So what do you think about this?
I'm curious to wonder right away. I can see the very first thing you'd have to do in such a situation. This is a mutual thing that both parties want to have mediation, correct?
Yes. So both parties have to agree.
Okay. That's probably the first step to diffuse some anxieties and also some bitterness between the parties. Now take care of that. How do you diffuse? How do you start? Because right away people are going to have their hackles up, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm right, you're wrong, kind of thing. So how do you begin? How do you diffuse potential sort of violent outbursts and all that?
You mean the temper tantrums? Yeah, that's a really good question.
Well, I like to know the process, like how, because I can see it, when people get to the point where they think they need to go to court, but try mediation instead. How would you do that, Marian?
Yep. So I talk to both parties. We do an intake meeting with each party separately. And that's where they get a chance to voice their concerns, their issues, and what they're hoping to gain from mediation. Mm-hmm. That being said, mediation is not for every case. So that is the time we take to screen the case and decide if your matter is suitable for mediation.
Okay.
Now, yeah, if we're talking about in a mediation, how do I diffuse the situation of somebody getting angry and it escalating? Time apart is key. I like to separate the parties, take a break, go outside, get some fresh air, come back when everyone's calm and in a position where they're ready to negotiate. Mm-hmm. Because the last thing you want is to be making decisions while you're angry or you're emotionally unstable.
I agree. I agree. That's very wise. And, many people don't realize that they should be calming down. I mean, so you both loved each other. Otherwise, you wouldn't have gotten married. So why do people hate each other so much afterwards? I never understood. I know there's a time of anger between people. I know that because in my own divorce situation there was. But we had a mediator like you come to our home. Believe it or not, we found a paralegal who did the separation for ourselves, the divorce and separation. And she came
Is it
and
mostly marital matters?
is this marital marriage you're talking about or family law with the children?
I'm asking, does she mostly do marital matters?
Oh, yes. Yeah. So
Okay.
anything with separation and divorce, I'd say 95% of my mediations are surrounding separation and divorce.
Okay, so we were using a person like yourself. I don't remember her name. It's too many, like almost 30 years ago, so I wouldn't remember. But it happened in the Niagara region. So yeah, it worked very well in my case and in my husband's case. But we were talking to each other. We were still living together. But we decided it wasn't going to work any longer. We need to let go of each other, right? So it was very civilized, which is the way it should be, really. But many people just aren't civilized about it.
No. Yeah.
For sure. So would you have any advice for people who are thinking of separating and how they should be looking at mediation? What's the right attitude?
So the typical thing when somebody or two people decide they're going to separate, they think about calling a lawyer. The first step should actually be to call the mediator, because it makes sense to mediate the matter before going to court. Even if a portion of the issues are mediated and resolved, that's still a big savings in legal fees and court fees, right? Yeah. And in your first appearance in court, the judge will most often recommend to try mediation and then go back in 6 or 7 months, whatever the case may be. But the court system really believes in mediation, and the courts are so clogged up as well. Right? So issues that can be resolved out of court really should be resolved out of court.
Okay, I have a question. So, when you come in with the dispute resolution, does that also entail having children involved also? Or is it basic just between the couple themselves?
No, it's children involved as well. We do co-parenting plans. We help parents, co-parent effectively together. That seems to be a challenge a lot of the time, but we deal with all issues, surrounding custody, support, equalization, everything to do with a separation and divorce.
Okay. Dave, do you have any questions at all?
Yes. You'd say that go to a mediator first, but the final agreement would have to go through a lawyer. So as a mediator, you resolve most or all of their particular issues, and then they must now go to a lawyer to make it legally binding, and a separation agreement or a divorce, something like that. Is that how it works?
Have to do that. We didn't have to do that. She took the paperwork to the court and she filed it, and that was the end of it. Then we had to wait for it to come back to us. Am I correct in that?
Well, you know what? Our practice is to recommend that both parties get independent legal advice, right? When you do a separation agreement, a certificate of independent legal advice needs to be attached to that. Okay. So I don't know how it was all those years ago, I'm not sure. But right now, what we do is we do recommend independent legal advice. You take whatever has been resolved in mediation, we take care of drafting a memorandum of understanding, and you'll bring that to your lawyer for legal advice. And if the lawyer thinks there's anything that's not in your best interest, you can bring it back to us, and then we'll go to mediation again to address those issues.
Okay. All right. Yeah, things probably have changed. Or we had nothing. We were not fighting over anything. We knew exactly how it was going to be divided, and so there's no reason to go to a lawyer. We both understood that we weren't going to spend the money paying a lawyer. We could figure we were both intelligent people that still loved each other, but we just couldn't make it work. So we were very civilized about the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I think that I was very fortunate. We were both civilized about it. Not
Yeah,
everyone
you're
is.
very lucky.
Yeah, I was very, very lucky.
Well, with mine and with my separation, I got a lawyer, she got a lawyer, and we were pretty good, like pretty civilized about it too. I just wanted to get out of the situation as fast as possible, so I may have been a little more generous than I should have. However, everything worked out pretty good, and so that you can do it on your own. But I can see with having a mediator it'd be better. But my
Oh, yeah.
lawyer was pretty good. He told me where I was making mistakes and not. I needed very little legal advice because my ex and I had pretty well sorted out what was, and I wanted to be very, very fair, and she wanted to be fair. So luckily we were in that situation, that state of mind. But I can
Mhm.
see how people can get really
Oh, yeah.
sort of just off the beam,
Mhm.
and each one thinking the other. Like I've heard so many stories of of people getting ripped off, one or the other, in these
Mhm.
legal things. So I think a mediator would be wise,
Mhm. Yeah,
at least to
that's
bring
very
you
good.
down to earth before you go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just it. If after 9 months, the mediator's seeing that you're not getting anywhere, or you don't have that willingness to settle,
Mhm.
then at that point, the mediator should be recommending, hiring a lawyer and maybe taking it to court to have a judge decide on it. But as
Mhm.
long as you're entering mediation in good faith, then it should work for certain type of cases.
Mhm. Mhm.
But that's really key. I always tell everyone you have to enter mediation, in good faith. If you're going to be entering mediation and you don't have that desire to settle, or you're going in there with a bad attitude, nothing's going to be resolved.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah, I
really, really
agree.
important.
Yeah, I agree. Even when you're negotiating with anyone at any time, it's the same thing, right? If you're going to go in there
Right.
and say, no, my way or no way, well, you're not going to
Hmm.
resolve anything. But if you're
You're
going to say,
not.
well, let's be flexible, let's give and take, because in life you have to, right? Whether
You
it's in a
do.
marriage or whether it's in a business deal, you have to give and take. So yeah, very, very good. So can I ask the statistics? So when you started 16 years ago up until now, is it becoming more people using the mediation, and also are there more people dissolving their marriages? Like what are the statistics, Marian?
I don't know specifically what the statistics are off the top of my head. I can tell you that 85% of cases settle out of court. And
Oh,
that's a big
excellent.
number. So for
Yeah.
you to be bringing that to a lawyer and then bringing it to court when you probably could have settled out of court,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
But I don't know what it was 16 years ago compared to what the divorce rates are now.
Mm-hmm.
I know that, you hear about divorce more and more. And I think mediation has become quite more popular than it was 16 years ago. I think it's because people are becoming educated on mediation and realizing that there's more than one option to getting separated. You don't need to go see a lawyer. There
Yeah.
are other options.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
you have
point.
to research them and learn about them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Excellent. So, can you tell me the average time? Like, have you had, like you're saying, up to 9 months? You were saying, right, that you resolve from the beginning till the end. So which is the shortest time that you've had in resolving a dispute?
3 hours.
Oh God, that was probably my husband and I. That's probably my husband and I, because it didn't take us very long. I think she only came once, then she drew up the paper, came back again, and
Yeah.
we signed it, and that was it. So yeah,
No, yeah.
probably. Yeah, I think ours
We
was
did
even
a
less than 3 hours.
3 hour mediation. The
Yeah.
couple was great. They came in there. They had everything documented. They had notes. They
Yeah.
knew exactly what needed to be done. There were some issues they weren't sure about. Everything was discussed, and then quick.
Yeah.
It was fairly inexpensive for them because
Sure.
it's not a long drawn out mediation. But it was a standard separation. They had kids.
Yeah.
so it wasn't just because sometimes people think it's just the couple without kids. No, they did have kids, and they had a matrimonial home they had to sort out, and there was a family business involved. So, but they were smart about it. They came in knowing exactly what they wanted, and they told me from the start, we do not want to spend a lot of money on this. And, kudos to them. They came in and they got it done.
Can I ask how much that would have cost them? I mean, can you tell us up the price range of something like that?
Yeah, so something quick like that, including all the communication back and forth, the intake meeting, the mediation, and document preparation at the end of mediation. They were looking at about $1,500 a person.
Yeah. And for us, that was like 30 years ago, was $600. Wow. I don't think it was per person. I think it was between the two of us, but I don't know. I remember $600. So I mean that worked out very well. That was, 30 years ago, $600 was a lot of money then.
It was, yeah.
So let's keep everything real in the today.
Yeah.
So do you have any advice for anyone, our listeners? Like how to get in touch with you, but also what kind of homework should they be doing before they get in touch with you, Marian?
So basically, they need to be ready to go. You know what I mean? They both have to agree. So if one person calls me, then I'll have my hour consultation. We offer a free hour consultation with each party. And that's where I go through the benefits of mediation and what it is and how it could help their particular case. And so the first thing is we need to get both people on board. So if people want more information, I do have a website. It's www.absolutedisputeresolution.ca. We also write many blogs, so we are all over social media. So if you just type in Absolute Dispute Resolution, you will find us.
Fantastic. And you have an office in St. Catharines then?
So I service all of Ontario.
Okay.
And then, so then we have offices in Toronto, Mississauga, Oakville, and then the other areas, we will book certain offices. And, we go to different locations.
Okay. Oh, that's smart. So you don't have to be based just in one city. This way you can service more people because you're actually just going to an office and you rent the space for whatever the hour is or however you work that out, right? I think that's a very smart idea. That's a really good way of doing it. Don't you think, Dave? Isn't that smarter? I mean, there's less overhead. So you can keep everything down, right?
Yeah.
So when you
so you've been doing the Zoom thing lately, though. Have you done your resolutions through Zoom and all that?
Yeah, so I'm doing online mediation. We have started doing in-person mediation. It's been a few months. It's mandatory to attend mediation with the mask and social distancing.
Okay. Yeah. So that's starting up now then. But do the people also like to do it through Zoom? I mean, are you okay with doing it through Zoom?
Yep, we have done it through Zoom. Yeah, it depends on the person's comfort level. Really, the pandemic has enabled us to kind of expand. Whereas you were confined to your office before, but now you're able to expand, you're able to help more people. And the great thing is we've also just introduced a low fee program. So anyone who's low income can fill out an application and they can actually save an additional 30% off our services.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic. That's good. And I know in my case and many businesses' case, certainly doing things online is the way to go now, and it's really handy because you can stay at home and you can get more done. Because if you're talking to someone on Zoom, you don't have to meet them in person necessarily, or on the phone. I mean, you can talk on the phone, right? Or even Facebook Messenger. Of course, you wouldn't be doing that, but I do with my, with anyone who wants to know more about things in real estate. I just say, get in touch with me with Facebook Messenger, or Zoom or whatever else. But the simplest way to get, now it's really simplified things as we're going into the 21st century.
Yeah, I agree.
So, David, before we close off, do you have any other questions for Marian?
Not really. I just I think it's probably a very good service that they provide, and would recommend it, obviously, to anyone who's setting up. Do you find that you sometimes have to fight to not take sides? You get maybe one of the people are very charming, and in your mind, oh, I like this person better. Or if you see someone really mismatched in wits, where someone is much more savvy than the other, and maybe trying to sort of take advantage, do you try to, of course, balance them, but do you find you like some better than others? I mean,
Well,
it's a
that's a good
natural thing. That's
question.
what you want to.
Yeah, that's a good question. I get asked that quite often, and you really have to remove yourself from the situation.
Yeah.
And that can be difficult at times, but I always remain neutral. You know, that's what I'm there for. I'm there to help them facilitate a resolution. I'm not there to take sides. I don't pass judgment.
Yeah.
So I really remove myself completely.
That I think you have to, right? Because
You
someone can become is very charming, but they're in real life they're not.
Yeah,
In front of you,
it's
Marian,
true.
they're very charming. Well,
Very true.
I want to thank you very much, Marian Grande, from Absolute Dispute Resolution. Thank you very much, and I hope you have another 16 years to help out couples, matrimonial couples. Not spend so much money and be happy with the end of the dissolution of their marriage, like I was. I mean, I actually cried when I got the paperwork. It was so sad for me, right? But it was done in a very nice way. So, I mean, it still remains with me all this time. And Dave Wheeler, thank you for being, again, my co-host. I appreciate it. And I send you all the
Thank
best.
you, Andrew.
Marian, yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Take care. Bye,
Marianne,
everyone.
you're probably going to have a bumper crop of stuff to do this COVID thing. Everybody's stuck together. There's going to be a lot of business coming your way. I'm sure of it.
I would think
You'll be
so,
working
right?
overtime.
I would think so. Yeah, I would think so. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you to everyone who's